we've announced our new R&D focus strategy, our new R&D focus set of products. And we started recognizing that there's a challenge in how R&D is processing data. There's just lots of new data coming in all the time. We see them struggling on getting the data out of even the QA/QC on the manufacturing side and looking at defects and understanding what that does in terms of R&D. We see scientists running experiments over and over again because they don't know where the data is and what to do with it. And so they just run the experiment again to get the data. So in that kind of recognition of that problem space, we've brought out our analytics and AI platform on top of our LIMS, integrated in with a semantic search capability. This allows our scientists, certainly in the R&D space, to spend more time thinking about science and innovation and less time in the administration of finding where the data is and how to pull it out of the system. They spend a lot less time in doing their research on citing other compatible discovery experiments that are happening, and allows them to really focus much more on the science, which leads to higher efficiency and discovery than we're seeing today. Yeah, this is much bigger than R&D. What we're seeing is a lot of our customers, what we're hearing from them is big data lake challenges. So they knew as they were building up this big data infrastructure that they needed to collect everything. On the ingestion, though, there was no schema, there was no structure, and so they've got huge pools of data and not really sure how to bring it out. And even if they can find it, what to do with it when they bring it out. So there's a lot of insight and a lot of new opportunity that can be found. There's some efficiencies that can be driven from this data, but the challenge is how to get access to it and how to build a more efficient data service in the future. So by looking at analytics and creating kind of the notion of a scientific helper, if you will, that allows us to bring forward what that information may represent and allow increase in discovery, allow us to drive kind of discovery all the way to decision making, and even integrate with other data flows at the enterprise level for board level decisions in investments and things like that. So we heard a lot from our customers as they were trying to solve these big data challenges that sometimes there was a bit of a disconnect between who's implementing and integrating services and what the platform could do. And that's kind of a normal problem in any industry, any software vendor working with third parties. You try to keep them educated, but things are changing rapidly. Customer environments are changing rapidly. And as customers started embracing the notion of thinking beyond siloed sections of applications and data processing and looking much more at the platform approach, they started to realize that they really needed a good wrap of service around that. And we're just in a much better position to do that. So we've grown our professional services organization. Our customers are seeing value because we're in a position to implement faster because we're seeing things in a much faster pace. Everything from huge amounts of data flows that need to be managed from old systems to new systems to things around validation. And yeah, it's led to us to drive a whole lot more implementations, and actually much more than 60 now as we look back over the last 12 months. One of the biggest, really fascinating challenges to me, certainly from where I've come from, is a lot of these companies, a lot of these enterprises have gone to a more subscription style service because it's more agile. They're not investing in big infrastructure like data centers. They're not investing in larger IT forces. And so they outsource a lot of that through things like software as a service, right? They do that in their ERP systems or manufacturing reporting systems. In the laboratory, they've done a lot more on-premises stuff. And a lot of those systems now have sat for a long time. They're very old. They can't deal with some of the new challenges that this explosion in data represents. So the modernization is really helping them migrate to a more SaaS-style solution. This gives them a much higher level of flexibility. As features come out, they can come out in a much quicker way, and allows them to start engaging in this larger data lake opportunity and challenge that we just talked about. Surprisingly, it actually refers to just to the last thing we talked about. Um, a lot of people come and they go, we have this old LIMS system, it was homegrown and we're just really struggling to keep it up, right? The data is exploding, new experiments, we've got new instruments that don't want to connect, can you help us? That's one of the big changes. So there is a huge install base out there that is seeing what is possible, but just doesn't have the system in place to make that happen. So that's definitely one big thing we're hearing. The other is more about, like, certainly in our case, the portal, making it much more visual in how you interface with it. As you add more and more data to the system, it's very difficult to read all that data, right? So visual techniques and stuff that we're starting to put out. A lot of people are asking about that and talking about that. And I'd say the last piece really is connectors. You look around this show and you see all of this equipment. All of this equipment is in the lab. It's generating more and more data every day. And how do we connect it and how do we process it at a much higher rates? A lot of people talking about that. We're certainly hearing more and more from customers that they're looking for one place to kind of bring all this together. That notion in the past of individual applications running individual pieces of their end-to-end lab scheme from R&D to the QA/QC lab, that's definitely seems to be coming to an end. And more and more people are looking for that platform play that can really energize their data and turn it into an asset. Well, the best place to find information would be at LabVantage.com.